Your team looks okay.
Yeah, you
How
know,
many teams are in your league?
14.
Oh, wow, then that explains why you don't have a lot of the top elite players. Because
They
They get
I was the
spread out.
13th, so I picked late, but then I get 2 in a row.
see, I always do 12-team leagues.
Yeah, we did, and then 2 more people wanted to join, so we added them.
How was Mason's first day?
All right, it's 7 o'clock, so we'll call a meeting to order. And if you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's 14 teams to start.
So before we begin the meeting tonight, just as an introduction, we have our student representatives will be joining us for the first time. This is Marcus Jordan, and when we get to that point, he'll tell you a little bit about himself. Liam Armstrong is at a meeting, at an appointment, and is trying to get back as soon as he can to join us too. So he might be coming in just a little late. But at this point, we have points of pride. Dr. Forrest.
Okay, so we had our first day of school for K through 12 last week, and this morning was our first day of school for our preschoolers. So on the first day of school, the SAU administrators divided up so that we could all be at a different school as kids were getting off the bus. And I can't emphasize enough, if anybody ever wants to join us, being at an elementary school as kids are getting off the bus with their new sneakers and their new backpacks, like life could not be better. There's a real palpable sense of excitement. So I asked administrators to get some pictures so you could kind of get a glimpse of a little bit of that day. So here we have students getting off the bus at Antrim. They had a little time on the playground. Beth and Mike Hatfield took a selfie. More pictures on the playground. Here's Pierce School, our crossing guard. Thank goodness for our crossing guards, especially at Pierce School where you have 2 very busy roads that come together. Getting off the bus. Neil didn't think his pictures were good, but I love the bus picture with the tree. One of the things we heard from our administrators was we used to tour as a huge group and go into classrooms. And what we heard from our administrators is that's pretty disruptive, especially in our small schools where either a herd of us are all walking into a room at once, or 2 or 3 people are walking in, but it's 3 groups of 2 or 3. So we decided to try not to be disruptive with classrooms as teachers are trying to establish their routines, but lots of fresh bulletin boards. Here we have some pictures from DCS out on the playground. We have FES. The Francistown PTO goes all out. They even bring in a saxophone player, which just putting that out there. I think they've got a little competition to. More pictures of FES. So a lot of our schools, as kids get dropped off, they get to go onto the playground for a little bit. And here we've got some GES pictures and some HES pictures. So lots of kids getting off the buses. More pictures of HES. pictures from PES. So that the top row pictures are all kindergartners, and the bottom row are preschoolers. So those are from today. See, Charlie made it into Charlie's our therapy dog at PES. And I don't have a picture of this, but they had they had an assembly, and Charlie walked up and down the row, so all the kids got to pet him, which was a big hit. Lockers and settling in. It was pretty amazing just to peek into rooms. It was kids sat right down, and even kindergarten classrooms. It was like, oh, this is looking good. Up at Temple, we have some pictures from GBS and SMS and the high school. So if you're ever there at drop off in the morning, you'll always find Ms. McKillop out with some other administrators out welcoming students as they enter the building, right? She's there every morning, isn't she, Marcus? And I'm guessing the assembly was about cell phones. And so that's just a glimpse on the first day. Last year I changed the way that we do Points of Pride, and my hope was to give you more of a glimpse into the classroom, into schools, not just kind of the special awards or celebrations, but also kind of the everyday things that they do. So if there is anything in particular that you would like to see as a board member, please let me know, because we're thinking about what to feature this year. So if anything ever comes up, just, yeah, send me an email.
Thank you. Approval of the manifests. Well, by the way, with Jim calling in, we will have fun tonight and be doing roll call votes again. So I'm sure everyone's happy about that. So, Neil.
All right. I certify that the manifest listed below totaling $2,892,369 and $64 have been reviewed by me and found to be proper charges against the Kentucky Valley School District for goods and services received and have been properly processed prior to the submittal to the school board.
Move to accept the manifest.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Sarah, you want to start?
Sarah, yes.
Dan, yes.
Tom, yes.
Curtis, yes.
Mike, yes.
Jim, yes.
Carl, yes.
Jim? Okay. Public comment? Do we have no one from the public tonight that will make comments? So we'll go right to the reports. So this gentleman is Marcus Jordan. He's a junior at the high school. Liam Armstrong is a senior at the high school, and hopefully will be joining us very shortly. With our new policy as far as student representatives, which is now matching the state law, our student representatives will be a regular board member. The only difference between student representative and a regular school board member is they are not allowed to vote, number one, and number two, to be involved in non-public sessions. Otherwise, they are just like any other school board member. So I know Liam pretty much was going to look at a report. Is there anything you'd like to say at this point?
I'd just like to introduce myself. As you guys know, my name is Marcus Jordan. and I'm a junior at Conville High School. I come from Peterborough, and I like to do baseball, and I like traveling. Just to report on a school-wide rule from Conval, our sports games have started, and we are welcoming a lot of upcoming events. To address the elephant in the room, students are adjusting seemingly pretty well to the new bell-to-bell cell phone law, and we've heard some concern about the new cases that are coming in, mainly budgetary, but just small talk, nothing too.
Okay, thank you very much. Curtis.
Okay, first of three, the Withdrawal Study Committee met on Thursday, August 21st. The committee reviewed the work of the Financial Subcommittee and identified the remaining financial information needed to make its determinations. We again addressed educational components of withdrawal scenarios and asked for continued input and consideration of these aspects. Discussion was had around the loss of board representation for the withdrawing town pertaining to their middle and high school students. Further discussion ensued around the limitations of a negotiated tuition agreement to account for the loss of representation. We charted a timeline to conclude the committee's proceedings in the month of, we charted a timeline which laid out that the committee will conclude its proceedings in the month of October. The next step will be for us to receive a presentation by the Francistown School Committee at our September 11th meeting. Additionally, we penciled in Thursday, October 2nd as the date which the committee will vote on Francistown's withdrawal. The committee received an update that Temple held a special town meeting in early August, whereby they voted to rescind their petition to study their withdrawal from Conval. In the interim, we have confirmed that there is not a clear statutory process or exemption that would allow our committee to disband, short of completing its work by taking a vote to recommend, not recommend, or needing more time. Given this finding and the action of the Temple voters, the committee will bring the matter of Temple's withdrawal to a vote at our next meeting on September 11th.
Okay, next.
The Selectmen's Advisory Committee met on Thursday, August 21st. An update was given on the school board's work over the summer. We discussed implementation of the bell-to-bell personal communication device ban. We also discussed the pending transportation RFP, as well as the inclusion of a bid option for single-tier busing and later start times at the middle and high schools. The committee reviewed and discussed the outcomes of the Conval v. State adequacy lawsuit, as well as the recent Superior Court ruling in the Rand case, which found state special education aid to be woefully inadequate and unconstitutional. Chairman Hoyt gave an update on the board's new facilities and education committees.
Okay, any questions on that report? All right, next one.
The Communications Committee met on Tuesday, August 26th. We returned our focus to the topic of standardized assessments with the goal of understanding and contextualizing both how they are utilized and interpreted. We want to be able to communicate a clear picture of trends over time, as well as the difference between proficiency and growth, and how results can vary across grades. We want families to have accurate context for the assessment results they see, and to understand what they measure and what they don't. We'd like to pair NHS, AS, and other standardized data with classroom assessments, coursework, and attendance to create a fuller story for families and taxpayers, one that ultimately highlights strengths, identifies gaps, and acknowledges limitations of any one single metric. One question that was raised during the meeting was, to what degree have schools in general, and Conval specifically, recovered from pandemic-related disruptions in education. To this end, Janine shared a research project established by Stanford University tracking educational recovery across the nation. The results of their data collection and study are remarkable. Conval's recovery post-COVID is leading the state of New Hampshire when seen through the lens of gains in average test scores for both reading and math. The committee will be working up a full report on Stanford's study and will be looking to share these encouraging results and more context surrounding them after our next full meeting.
Okay, any questions on that one? Okay, obviously, this is Liam Armstrong. Welcome. And we can go back if you have any comments or part of a report that you want to give.
I'm quite all right. I do apologize for being late. I could have sworn it was at Conval, but it was not. So again, I'm very sorry. I will not make this mistake again. Thank you.
All right, that's all right. We've had board members who've shown up at the wrong place, so. All right, thank you and welcome. Right, Janine?
The policy met this past Tuesday last week. We started out with a brief discussion on the draft New Hampshire Department of Education Technical Advisory and the bell-to-bell policy, which is up for adoption tonight, a second read, and we decided it meets all of the stated requirements. Next, we discussed policy IHBH, the extended learning opportunities. There's quite a discussion around this. So last time this policy was updated was in 2008. Principal McKillop will take the policy back for review with the new ELO coordinator at the high school to make sure it accurately reflects our current practice as well as any changes in the administrative rules, the 306s. There will also be an R attachment that describes the application process for all 3 levels of our schools and includes our new policy on transportation. We discussed JICD, which is student conduct, and that also will be coming back to the committee and not going for a first read because we have kind of a disjunct between our JIC, which is very short and to the point, and the JIC that the School Board Association put out, which enumerates all of the different parts of student conduct and due process. So we'll be working on figuring out how to meld those 2 policies and possibly rescinding one. And also, there were changes made in past years that we have to cross-check. Policy EBB lists the requirements, safety, school safety, and what that is it is all about the comprehensive safety plan that a district must have in place, and it basically lists all of the different response plans that a school district must have. That did not require much change on our part. I think the basic change was it went from recommended to priority. But that is ready for a first read tonight, so you'll be getting that tonight. We also had to reformat it. Policy IKF, high school graduation requirements. The high school administration provided the committee with their views on diploma and the diploma designations. Very good discussion. And the opportunities that the new 306 rule has provided around this, the examples of multiple diplomas, which probably won't be, we may be thinking about, but the consolidations that will have to come back to the committee. There's work that needs to come back on that, and then the high school administration is going to be working on that. So policy BEDG, minutes received, there's very little changes. It looks like it was on the fall update. It's ensuring that we are meeting all the requirements and are up to date on any previous year legislative changes, and that will also come back to the committee to make sure that we are in full compliance. And we have, I believe, 4 for second reads tonight.
Okay. Any questions? All right, thank you. Jim, budget and property?
Nope, no, I take myself off mute, then they can hear me. Got 4 items to report on. The Budget and Property Committee reviewed and voted on the budget guidance for fiscal year 27. We'll be sharing that with you after this meeting, and we'll all be voting on it next week. So we're not going to have any discussion on it right now, but I would encourage you to look at it and ask if you have any questions. If you have any questions regarding the budget guidance between now and then, we can address any of your questions. Second item, Mark Schaub presented the technology plan in terms of hardware, software, and major projects he's got going in both in the budgets, and that is available on the budget property site. We'll I really not much else to say about that. The third item we talked about was the fund balance, and that's the item that Neil will be talking about later on the agenda, so I won't cover that in any detail. Last time we talked about was the possibility of CTE funding from the state for the high school, and we don't have any word either way regarding the state's position on the availability of funding. So we decided we're not going to try to do anything unless we hear otherwise. But we will be referring the CTE project to the Facilities Committee, which we'll also be talking about later tonight. That's it.
Okay, any questions for Jim? Okay, thank you. Down to the consent agenda. Go ahead.
So you don't have the updated enrollment because I need to correct a couple things on here. So I will get that done and get it out to you tomorrow. But as of right now, as of September 1st, our total enrollment is 1,869 students. So from pre-K to 4, we're at 699. That's a difference of we're down 24 from last month. So what we're going to see, and I know Brenda talked to Judy today, so if I get this wrong, please jump in. But what we're going to see is there were still students who had not been withdrawn from our student information system. So they have now been withdrawn. So that's why we see some of these drops. From grades 5 to 8, the enrollment is 561 students, which is a difference of 10 from last month. And for grades 9 to 12, it's 609 students, which is a difference of 7 less students from last month. So overall, there's a difference of 41 fewer students since the last report.
Thanks. As we, I guess, get into this year, I would be curious to know if there's any way for us to see or track or compare fluctuations in enrollment to other districts as a means to try to understand the impacts of EFAs and see if there's any sizable outflow of students from public schools given the increase in funding to EFAs. Is that something we could talk to other superintendents and other districts or come up with a creative way to look at that?
We can look into it. We can certainly look into fluctuations in enrollment with other districts. Now, getting at the root of why those numbers are, that might be the more challenging piece, but we can look into it.
Okay. Any questions on any of the consent agenda items? Jim?
In the athletic trainers section, 5, Jim Kingston said board certified sports physical therapist should be removed. No, I'd say just the word sports in that should be removed was my position. Yes. So it would be a board certified physical therapist should be allowed.
Curtis, were you gonna? Nope. Okay. All right. Thank you. Other questions or comments about any of the consent agenda items? Okay. Can I have a motion to accept all of the items in the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Sarah, yes.
Greg, yes.
Tom, yes.
Curtis, yes.
Jim?
Jim, yes.
Bill, yes.
Janine, yes.
Jim? Okay. Okay, Dr. Report.
Monthly calendar. So, this week we only have tonight's budget and property and school board meeting as of right now. Anything else for this week? All right, next week on Tuesday, we have a school board goal setting work session at 6 p.m. here at the SAU. And on Thursday, the 11th, we have a withdrawal study committee meeting at 6 p.m. at the SAU. Anything else for that week?
And
Yes.
there is a possibility we could have the negotiation committee meeting to get together. I asked, Mike if he could set it up. I suggested that next Tuesday. I don't know if anybody's heard anything on that yet,
I think he's still working on that.
right?
So it's a
Just wanna let
so
everybody
it's a tentative for the 9th.
Yeah, I figured it would be a good time, everybody be there for the board meetings, so we're going earlier than that, before, in the board goal meeting to conduct that thing.
Oh, okay. What time were you thinking?
I don't know, 4:30 maybe? How much time we need? We're gonna set it up there, I just wanna give everybody a heads up, we might, the four of us might need to come in early.
Okay. So there's a tentatively a subcommittee of the negotiations committee, or no, it's the full negotiations committee, Jim,
Yeah,
would meet at 4:30 or 5, depending on how much time they need. We will get that confirmed.
What date is that?
That's the 9th.
Thank-
The third week in September, on Tuesday, the 16th, we have budget and property at 5:30 and school board meeting at 7. And that Thursday, the 18th, we have communications committee at 6 at the SAU. Anything else?
So we're forming a new committee, the building committee, and I was hoping we could squeeze in a meeting after the communication committee meets at 7 p.m. on the 18th. Assuming the communication committee meeting will last no longer than an hour.
I work best with limits.
So that's Jim, Dan, Curtis, and myself. So if that works for everybody,
I'm unavailable from the 15th through the 24th, but
I'm good, that day.
Well, the first meeting will probably be more of an organizational meeting anyways, so. Yep, okay. All right.
Thank you.
So we have that down?
Yes.
Okay.
During the fourth week of September, on Monday, the 22nd, policy committee is meeting at 6 p.m. at the SAU. And that Thursday, the 25th, we have Selectmen's Advisory Committee meeting at 6 p.m. at the SAU, followed by the Withdrawal Study Committee at 7 p.m. at the SAU. Anything else for that week?
And we talked about starting at the education committee. Amy, is that something that you want to do this month, or have you got a lot of other things on your plate, given you just got here?
I'm happy to meet this month.
Okay?
Yeah.
You want to pick a time that works for you?
So I'm flexible, so I would say whatever works for the committee, I can be flexible.
I'm wondering about Mondays right now because unless you did the,
How about Monday, the 15th?
Does that work for you,
Works
Amy?
for me.
Works for me?
Okay.
Who's on the committee? Because I had not seen that
Sarah?
published anywhere.
Yep, and Greg?
What time works for the group? 6?
6? 6:30? 6?
I need to be done no later than 6:55 on any Mondays.
5:30 then?
5:30.
Yep. All right.
5:30?
5:30 on the 15th. Are you all set, Sarah?
okay.
Okay.
Great.
So Ed Committee will meet on the third Monday of the month at 5:30 at the SAU. Okay, anything else for September? All right, October, in the first week of October on Thursday, the 2nd, withdraw study committee meeting at 6 p.m. at the SAU. The second week of October, on October 7th, Tuesday, we have a budget and property meeting at 5:30 p.m. at the SAU, followed by a school board meeting. Anything else for that week? Okay. We have nothing scheduled for the, I know. It looks blank. Looks so nice.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I know. Well, I know there's no communications committee on it yet.
Okay, so I believe we had, the withdrawal study committee wanted to, advance its meeting to the 16th. And that meeting would be, basically to, approve reports generated, post-vote. So it was time sensitive that it happen, with a gap between then and the end of the month. And I suppose we should, for the convenience of the selectmen, consider moving SAC to the 16th as well. And swapping that, we would need to contact them about that, but still a ways out. We'll see them. But that's how I would tentatively draw it up.
Okay.
Withdrawal would be at
7.
7 with SAC at 6.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was going to jump on the 16th for the building committee. So since the 9th is available, I would like to schedule a meeting on the 9th, maybe at 6 p.m.
Could we pencil in a communications committee with facilities and either do it before or after? It makes no difference to me.
Doesn't make a difference to me either.
Okay. I would say start with communications and then go.
7 o'clock
facilities,
building.
so
Okay,
Facilities has more time, doesn't have a cutoff.
right.
6?
6.
Yeah.
And facilities at 7. Are you able to do that, Greg?
Greg's not on it.
Oh, you're in wrong committee, education.
Jim and Jim would be the other two.
Okay, good.
Okay, on the week of October 20th, that Monday the 20th, you would have Ed Committee. which is not on your calendar right now, but Ed Committee at 5:30 p.m. at the SAU. And on Tuesday, Budget and Property is scheduled to meet at 5:30 p.m. at the SAU, followed by a board meeting at 7. And there's nothing else for that week. The Ed Committee is going to meet on October 20th at 5:30. So on the last week in October, we've got Policy Committee on the 27th at 6. Is it 6, June? At 6 at the SAU. Anything else for that week? Ooh, Halloween's on a Friday this year.
Oh, boy.
I've already decided my costume, which is always a big thing, but I don't tell ahead of time. Okay, anything else for the calendar?
Yeah, Sam, we should probably talk about the budget meeting.
Oh,
When do we want to hold that?
well, you had identified Saturday, are you talking about the budget workshop?
Yes,
You had identified November 8th, which is a little bit later than we've usually done it.
right. And it's also a conflict for some people, including myself, but I'd like not to. I didn't think of my conflict on setting it.
Yeah, I thought we had said push it up to the 1st.
Oh, we didn't, we talked about it that meeting, but, other people in the room don't know that. I'm gonna do this first.
Well,
Are people good with meeting on November 1st for the budget workshop?
I don't. s- Okay, I don't see a lot of.
Yes.
We've always done it on a Saturday, we could consider making it a weeknight if people want to consider that. I'm game for that.
All right, tentatively we'll set it for the 1st.
And in past years, the board did make, I don't know if you want to hold to this, but they made the decision not to make any final decisions at this meeting. So if people aren't there, we could do a recap and
Right, it's a work session.
Did you come up with a time?
Jim time.
We usually start at 8:30, 9 in the morning and run till 1 or 2 in the afternoon, except for lunch. I don't know how much time we spend discussing, but if we're not going to do a lot of discussing, we can end earlier.
Okay, so start it.
Presentation, so people have an opportunity to think about it. We'll talk about it, vote on items later.
So we'll start at 9.
Right. That's good.
School board requests. I thought it was all caught up, but I got a new one, an easy one, today. So a board request for access to principals' newsletters. So I was thinking I would send out a link that would bring you to a form. So if people could just go through and just check any buildings that they would like to get the principal's newsletter from, rather than emailing me individually, and then I can share those names with principals. And then I think, are there any other outstanding board requests that I'm forgetting about? Great. And that's it for me.
Okay, as far as the goals meeting next Tuesday night, what I've been working on is I've taken the administrator's goals, the goals that we had discussed at the last goal work session that we had, and all the goals that the different committees have put forth. And so I've put them into a outline form, and I will make sure that that's on the drive by Thursday, so that it'll give you some ideas of things that we can follow up on at the actual goal meeting next Tuesday night. Okay. All right. Old business. We have the second reads. Janine?
Uh,
Most recent legislative section is that there are no personal communication devices, in the school, between the two bells.
Move to accept policy JICJ.
Okay. Any other questions? All right.
Sarah, yes.
Sarah?
Dan, yes.
Tom, yes.
Curtis, yes.
Jim, yes.
Bill, yes?
Carl, yes.
Janine, yes.
Jim? Okay.
Okay, next we have, policy AB, the New Hampshire Parental Bill of Rights. And this is the comprehensive Bill of Rights, again, that was just most recently passed by the, New Hampshire legislature.
Move to accept policy AB.
Second.
Sarah?
Sarah, yes.
Dan, yes.
Tom, yes.
Curtis, yes.
Jim, yes.
Bill, yes?
Carl, yes.
Janine, yes.
Okay.
And next we have policy EHAG, use of generative artificial intelligence. I'm surprised I didn't get any questions from you. But this policy guides our purpose and general policy statement around generative AI and the use of it in our school district.
Do we have a motion to accept?
Move to accept policy EHAG.
Second.
Okay. Sarah?
Sarah, yes.
Dan, yes.
Tom, yes.
Curtis, aye.
Jim, yes.
Bill, yes?
Carl, yes.
Janine, yes.
Okay. And lastly?
And the last policy is policy EBCH, back again, chemical safety and chemical hygiene plan. And again, there was only one small change, one small update in this policy that we recently adopted, and we are adopting again.
Move to adopt policy EBCH.
Second.
Sarah, yes.
Dan, yes.
Tom, yes.
Curtis, yay.
Jim, yes.
Bill, yes?
Carl, yes.
Janine, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. We're going to make a small shift in the order of the agenda. We're going to move the fund balance retention discussion down further. And so we will skip to the transportation request for proposal. Neil?
You have in your packet first draft of an RFP for transportation. I initially sent out the current contract to all the administrators. It's in your drive. Hopefully you've seen it. It's too long to read tonight. So initially I sent out the current contract to all the administrators and received feedback, and that has been added in, as well as the feedback from the board at the last session. I'll note, in the original schedule, it was due October 16th. I've pushed that back a week to give extra time and have corrected the second place where that appears on page 16, so that they match. In this proposal, there are options. We've asked the bids to be for both the current start times with the double tier busing, as well as the single tier busing with the same start time. The main bid in this asks for propane to be the fuel, which is what we have now, but there is also an option to present a supplemental option of a different type of fuel. Other changes that are in here from the past, it requires route optimization software. They must complete the data privacy agreement in order to do this. And they also need to either provide digital maps for us or geocodes so we can produce maps. Our bus routes are not the easiest thing to read, and the hope is that we can provide something that's much easier for people to be able to know exactly where they are. It does add an additional bus for field trips, athletics, and co-curriculars in here. It clarifies what video recording requirements are. It gives a megapixel for the cameras so that it's such that you can actually see them. Not that you can't now, but just to be sure. It includes audio because that wasn't mentioned, and it specifies the number and placement of cameras depending on the vehicle. It also asks for an app to be available for parents to be able to track that as the time they're coming home. And the terminal has to be in a location that can meet the emergency needs of the district. It's broad that way. So those were the major changes. And you have it, so I can answer any questions I have or any changes you recommend.
Questions or comments for Neil? Okay, hearing none. Can I have a motion to accept the RFP as Neil has presented it?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Sarah?
Sarah, yes.
Dan, yes.
Tom, yes.
Curtis, yes, and thanks to Neil.
Jim, yes.
Bill, yes.
Carl, yes.
Janine, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Assessment schedule.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So we have a policy that indicates that we need to provide you with the New Hampshire State Assessment Schedule. So I have provided that to you along with our district assessment schedule. So in terms of the New Hampshire State Assessment Schedule, everybody should have a copy. Looks like this. And it just reviews the required assessment, the grade level, the content area, and the testing window. I also want to let you know, if you turn the document over, the NAEP testing, which is pilot testing, Temple School was selected and will be participating in that testing this year. So they just select certain schools, and so Temple will be completing that testing. Does anybody have any questions about the New Hampshire assessment schedule before I move on to the district one? And again, these are required assessments.
Dr. Forrest?
I don't have a question, but Greenfield also was
Oh, they
selected. I
were?
didn't realize
Oh,
you
I
didn't
didn't
get
know
you
either.
didn't get that.
I was not on that
notification.
email. Okay.
Faithful.
So Temple and Greenfield.
Lucky straw.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions? Okay,
And then I have the assessment schedule. This is our district assessment schedule. So we just thought we would provide that to you since we were giving you the state assessment schedule. So these are just all the assessments that the schools will be completing throughout the year to monitor student growth. And on the back, it explains each assessment, what it is, what it assesses. So this can provide any questions, any answers to any questions you might have.
any questions?
No, South Meadow School was also selected for the NAEP testing. We just found out. So 3 schools.
Any questions? Okay, thank you very much. First read of policy.
Policy EBB, Safe Schools. Again, this is the comprehensive school safety policy that enumerates all the different crisis prevention, sports injury, school bus safety program that, enumerates the procedures that must be in place in order to keep the district safe in all instances. And it's first read. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me or the superintendent.
Any questions? Okay, again, you can look this over for between now and the next time we meet. Okay, field trip request. Can I have a motion to accept the field trip request?
I move that we accept the field trip, except is enumerated in the proposal by Siobhan Leclerc.
Okay, I have a second. All right, questions?
Sarah, yes.
Dan, yes.
Tom, yes.
Curtis, yes.
Jim, yes. Bill, yes.
Carl, yes.
Janine, yes.
Do that again. So I'm excited to present to you this request from an employee to initiate a research study, and the topic is on restorative practices. And if you know about restorative practices, they are meant to prioritize relationships with students and to maximize classroom time. So this is a wonderful topic. I'm very excited about it. It meets all of the requirements that the board has laid out in their policy, increasing professional knowledge of teaching and learning, sharpen perceptions of instructional and administrative problems, assess progress towards accomplishment of school system objectives. Confidentiality in the study is laid out, so all staff members' information will be confidential. And I definitely think that the board should take a vote to accept this research study, and I can answer any questions if anybody has any.
Okay, can we start with a motion to approve the research study?
So moved?
Second.
Okay, questions from people? Quiet group tonight. Yes.
When will this study take place?
So it looks like the study is going to start soon, and I believe the duration is throughout the school year. And it's going to be a series of professional learning opportunities for staff. Yeah, it's great. It's going to be great.
Other questions? Part of the education committee will be looking at is different aspects of our instructional program. And again, this would look at some of the climate and behavior that is used throughout our district. So that will be a good thing to look at. So Sarah?
Sarah, yes.
Greg, yes.
Aye.
Dan, yes.
Tom, yes.
Curtis, yes.
Jim, yes.
Bill, yes.
Carl, yes.
Janine, yes.
Jim, yes.
Okay. Public comment? No public. Okay. So we need to go back to the fund balance retention issue. And before we do that, I need a motion that we recess this meeting and go into a non-meeting for the purpose of consultation about, or for the purpose of legal consultation that we've been given. So can I have that motion?
Move to enter a non-meeting for legal counsel?
Okay,
Sarah, yes.
Dan, yes.
Tom, yes.
Curtis, yes.
Jim, yes.
Bill, yes?
Carl, yes.
Janine, yes.
okay, so we need to cut off the We're back in public session. All right, we will call on Neil to give us some information as far as the fund balance retention is concerned.
We're excited about fund balances, which is good. So let's walk through the fund balance information. So what creates an unreserved fund balance? Basically three things. It's expenses that come in under what was budgeted. It's revenue over what was budgeted. And in our case this year, it includes the $500,000 from the health insurance maintenance trust that was transferred because that went over a couple of years. And it also includes the contingency from last year. $603,000 was put into contingency. None of that was used during fiscal year 25. So that all then becomes available and is part of the fund balance. It can't be expended after that. It goes right into the fund balance. So you can use the fund balance for several things, three things actually. First, you have to fund the capital reserve funds and expendable trust funds as voted by the district voters. There were 3 articles, $925,000 was voted. That has to be paid. That's the first thing that gets paid because that was voted. That has been transferred to the trust funds and that money is already in the trust funds. Then there's retainage, which is the money that you reserve back, and everything beyond that lapses to taxpayers and it offsets the amount to be paid by taxes. So retainage, the money that you can vote to save, can be used for unanticipated expenses, as well as it's also a tax management tool. Somebody might argue with me on that, but you have that available for the next year. So district voters on March 9th, 2021, voted to retain up to 5% of the current fiscal year's net assets, the amount 5%. It can be expended for unanticipated expenses and a public hearing is required. They adopted the statute. Those are the provisions that are in the statute. The school board voted a policy in June of 2021 to maintain no more than 2.5% of the current fiscal year's net assets. And the intent of the use is for emergencies as determined by the school board. So there's some differences there. So let's look at our at year-end fund balance. So our revenue over budget was 1.4 million. Our expenses under budget was 3.4 million, and the unused contingency was 603,000, which all adds up to a surplus of 5,456,278 at year end. That's a little higher than I would like to see it, but we'll talk about that a little more. So first, let's look at the revenue. The major differences here that we had that brought us that. Regular tuition was actually down a little, but preschool tuition was up. Those balanced. Special education tuition, the revenue was higher than we expected. I should read my notes. Vocational education tuition from LEA payments, that's money that comes from Jaffrey Ringe and Messinic. Interest was substantially over. The interest rates have changed, and what was budgeted 18 months ago was lower. Payments from the state and from Medicaid were higher than expected. The Medicare money was actually 172,000, almost 173 over. And then you add in the 100,000 from there, and that's how you get to the total. Expenses over budget, a spreadsheet that you can see. Regular salaries were under. There was an engineering position at the high school that was not filled, as well as a computer science position, and there were speech language position. Paraprofessionals were under by 149,000 due to the open positions. Custodial and maintenance was under 111. Here again, there were open positions that have now been filled but weren't. There was a district maintenance position, as well as a high school custodial position. Temporary salaries, which are substitutes, that was where most of that was. Less curriculum work was done, and athletic salaries came in about 30,000 under. Benefits, given that there were the open positions, health insurance actually came in 307,000 under budget. Those costs are much harder to budget in it so far in advance. FICA was under almost 96,000, and New Hampshire retirement was under about 218,000. Pupil services, which are special ed contracted services, was actually under 247,000. Purchase professional services were under, like the PR firm, and contracted and building professional services are in there. Legal services were actually under 254,000, and pupil transportation, the overall contract was under 230,000. And special ed was under by almost 83,000. Special ed tuition was under 483,000, so that was way under. And vocational tuition was 60,000. General supplies was another 111 under, and high school electricity was 119 below, probably largely due to the solar, and fuel costs were down. Fuel oil was down. We saved about 141,000. Gasoline or propane, 64,000. So that all equals about 3.4 million. We had that's about 6%, just over 6%. And I would really like that. You don't want to go right down, but I'd like to see that in future years in the 3 to 5 range, not up as high as 6. The unused contingency, none of that was expended, the 603,000, and is part of the fund balance. So the allocation of the unassigned fund balance. A board decision is required on the amount to retain. The remainder goes to taxpayers, and we already funded the capital reserve. So this sort of shows the history. The green is what has been returned. The red is what has been retained. By special order, some money you could retain in 2020, which is why there was there. And then after the vote, it was really fiscal year 23 that funds started to be retained. This shows, the first column shows the sources of where it came from that we just went through. And here are 3 potential options just to look at. If you retain 2.5%, it shows that you would be returning 3,300,000 and retaining 1.2 million. If you went higher than that, those numbers do change and go down, as you can see there. And if you went all the way to the statutory 5%, you'd be retaining 1.3. You'd be retaining actually the 2.4 and lapsing with 2.4. You always want to consider next year's tax rate when you're looking at this. Funds can be retained to use that. And right now, stability of grant funding. So this shows that same retention model. If we go to here, the bottom line in green, the change from 2025, shows that the first column is the previous year's tax amount collected. than what was budgeted, and you had budgeted to return the 500,000 from the health trust as well as an additional 500,000. And then we go to the 2.5 column. The 2.5 column is what the Budget and Property Committee voted tonight to recommend unanimously. And so that shows that, which basically brings what is being collected from taxpayers to, it's actually almost 46,000 under, but for all intents and purposes, basically it's a level amount being collected. And so you're returning 3.3 million, retaining the 2.5, and that's 1.2 million is retained, and you would have that to use next year. We could go through the others, but that's sort of because they've recommended that, I think we'll stop there and I can answer any questions.
Janine?
So did you discuss the 3.75 and the 5.0? I know we can't do that right now because of our policy, but did you discuss what the advantages or disadvantages? Can you talk about
Yes,
it?
we did, Janine. I put the chart together. I wanted to show what the RSA allowed, the 5%. And then I decided to split the two, and I was, for a while, I was considering recommending 3.75% because we would have been able to, that would have meant a change in the outplan of less than 1%, change in the district assessment less than 1%, which is a nice thing to say, but I think we all agreed based on all the evidence, all the information we had at hand, to go with the 2.5%. So everybody in the Budget Property Committee and Ann and Neil and everybody agreed that 2.5% is what we should be doing.
Thank you.
I did, by the way, ask Catherine Heck for her recollection of why we went with the 2.5%, and it was basically because we decided it was just the more palatable thing for the voters to accept it, 2.5%. The RSA does allow 5%, but we would need to change the policy. We are going to refer that policy back to the policy committee to look at two things. One is the verbiage, make sure that the verbiage in our policy matches the state RSA, and also to consider the possibility of changing to 5% in the event we might need it some other time. This year, we doesn't look like we would need to do more than the 2.5%.
The verbiage that we're looking at is unanticipated because to say that it's an emergency really indicates that there's no other way of funding it, which might not be true. But I think that's a better term, knowing that, well, we didn't anticipate that this was going to happen. So we have to figure out the best way to deal with it. So the policy committee will be looking at that.
Most people who put their budgets together would probably agree that one of the biggest wild cards we have in front of us is what the impact of government policy, federal policy, going to be.
Yep.
There are several different aspects of that we won't go into, but what's really going to happen to costs, and that changes almost daily if you watch the news.
Okay.
Tariffs and taxes and everything, right?
Jim?
So I'm always in favor of giving the taxpayer the biggest break possible, but I'm also in favor of not seeing their taxes yo-yo. And this 2.5% actually holds, the assessment pretty level, actually a slight decrease this year. And it still allows us to retain enough. When we look at the retained funds, the approximately 3 to 5%, as Neil said, that we try and keep in the budget for unanticipated, and then the monies that are available to us in those categories of things that are commonly unexpected: healthcare, building, special education. We have trust funds that can help balance that out. When you look at that entire collection of funds, we're definitely well protected against any unanticipated or emergency type situation going into next year. So we can give, I think a great return to the taxpayers this year and keep ourselves protected so that we don't have a big bounce next year.
Okay.
Hey, Neil, could I ask if you go back to the fund balance disposition chart that shows fiscal year 16 through 24? Those are numbers that are readily available from annual reports, and you can see that our total fund balance, which is measured by how much we put in the trust funds and how much we returned, for the first 4 years before COVID, were pretty much level, anywhere 1.5 to 2 million. COVID came along, that was a different year. But look at what happened in fiscal year 21, 22, 23. And I think we have to ask ourselves, why was the total fund balance, as high as it was in fiscal year 21, 22, and 23? And I think a lot of the answer to that is the inability to hire as many teachers and staff as we had in the budget. That's a quick, short answer. But I think one of the things we're going to ask Neil to do is make sure that we understand what happened so we don't repeat it in the future. We want, like the Jim said, like a much more stable number. Last year we did the total. The total was 2.3 million. That's what the order we should be at year to year.
Yeah, and it's just not salaries because the benefit
Right.
portions are make it even more skyrocketing. So, yeah, Jim.
So I will say, when we were going through the numbers with Neil, in the revenues, we were actually not budgeting some of those revenues, and I don't know why we weren't, right? I mean, so I think we'll fix that in ongoing years. Ann has already fixed in this year's budget some of the staff positions and reduce those. So I think we'll be much closer to that goal number that Neil has in mind in next year, and we'll attempt to get that in the follow-on years.
Yeah, I think it's obvious we have much better handle on things right now. So, yes.
Yes, we were all thrilled when we saw the preschool tuition. That's never been, before Neil, that had never been reported to us. So it's exciting to see that that's increasing. And yes, I think we should definitely be.
Neil?
I just want that revenue is just as important as expense, because dollar for dollar, it has the same effect on the tax rate. So we do want to make sure we look at revenues and budget those accordingly. You want to budget conservatively because you want to make sure you're not over budgeting and keeping the rate too low. But that's as important as the expense.
Yep. Okay. Greg?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that the full board adopt the budget and properties recommendation to retain 2.5% of the unassigned fund balance.
Okay. We have a second?
Second that.
Okay. All right. Any further questions? All right, Sarah?
Sarah, yes.
Greg, yes.
Tom, aye.
Dan, yes.
Tom, yes.
Curtis, yes.
Jim, yes.
Bill, yes?
Carl, yes.
Janine, yes.
Yes. Jim, yes.
Okay, so it will be 2.5% then. Okay, thank you. All right, and that oops, sorry, we have one item in non-public, so I need a motion to go into non-public for, pardon me? Oh, I'm sorry. All right, so we need to pause this meeting again. Can I have a motion to go into non-meeting for negotiations?
Did we do the field trip request, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we did. Almost this.
Yep.
Good.
All right,
Move to end our non-meeting for negotiations.
Second?
all right, Sarah?
Tom.
Dan, yes.
Tom, yes.
Curtis, yes.
Jim, yes.
Bill, yes?
Carl, yes.
Janine, yes.
Jim,
Okay.
yes.
Okay,